Morning. So this weekend you will have a test on art and culture, both preliminary and mains. Okay, so you keep revising them parallelly. Most of the questions will be from the classroom handout and the slides itself. Okay, so will not be any, you will not have any problem in answering the questions if you read these things properly, okay, and regularly. That is one thing that you need to do. And, any questions from yesterday's class? Any questions? So no questions. So yes, I forgot about it. Yes, okay. Smarta. Yes, Smarta is Adi Shankara. Okay, right. You can add it also. Shanmata ke bagal mein you write about Smarta. Smarta tradition. Open the tab, but I forgot to read it. Okay, Smarta tradition. Yes, Smarta tradition is also started by him. Adi Shankaracharya. So did you get the relation between Brahman and Atman? Okay, what is the exact relation? Did anyone satisfactorily explain what it is? Okay, they had some internal controversies and they were fighting with each other. And there was no clarity for outsiders too, like what is the exact relation between Brahman and Atman. Because this is a philosophical and a metaphysical subject, there is no proof. Okay, in order to prove what is Brahman, what is Atman, first you have to die. Then only you will be able to prove. So that is not possible. So we don't know exactly the relation between them. But these acharyas are very important for both preliminary and mains perspective. Okay, they can give a question directly in mains that critically examine the contribution of Vaishnavacharyas to Bhakti literature or Bhakti culture. They can give a question. Okay, direct, straightforward. Or otherwise they can select one of the thinkers and give a 10-mark question. Okay, this way they can ask questions. So this is a very, very important section. So yesterday I think we discussed about Adi Shankara, then Ramanuja. After that we talked about Nimbaraka, Madhva, and after Madhva, Vallabhacharya we talked about. Okay, 5 acharyas we discussed. Okay, 5 acharyas we discussed, and okay, I think I need not give a recap, right? Okay, I think you people might be, most probably, because this is very logical and simple, you'll be able to understand the things. Now we'll move to the next topic, that is Shivacharyas. Okay, even though Vaishnavacharyas are more in number, Shivacharyas, they were not very significant. Shivacharyas, they were not very significant. In fact, not very significant during this period. And the Shivacharyas are contemporary to the Cholas, similar to Vaishnavacharyas. These people are also contemporary to Cholas. And even though they were contemporary to Cholas, you write, Shivacharyas, they are contemporary to Cholas. Even though there was state patronage, their contribution to culture, thought, okay, or their contribution to philosophy or culture is minimal. Okay, write it down. Their contribution to philosophy or culture is minimal. And okay, there are 3 Shivacharyas. Their name is Mekandar, Arulnandi, and Umapati. Only 3 are there. Arulnandi, Mekandar, and Umapati Shivacharya. And all of them, what they did is they tried to develop upon the earlier Nayanar tradition. Just like Vaishnavacharyas, they developed upon the Alavar tradition, they also developed upon the earlier Nayanar tradition. Nayanar tradition, they developed upon this tradition, and their philosophy is also dualistic philosophy. And they equated Brahman with Shiva. Simple. They equated Brahman with Shiva. They followed a dualistic philosophy, and this is also known as Shiva Siddhanta philosophy. It is also known as Shiva Siddhanta philosophy, and it revolved around 3 aspects of nature. One is Pashu, the second is Pati, and the third one is Pasha. Pashu is equated with individual soul. Pati is equated with Shiva, whereas Pasha is equated with Prakrit. Prakrit or nature. It's like just like the rope which holds Lord and individual together is Prakrit. Okay, Pashu, Pati, Pasha. Pasha means Prakrit. Pati means Brahman. And Pashu means individual soul. So this is how they talked about in the Shiva Siddhanta philosophy. And the main books are, one is Shivagnana Bodham and the second one is Siddhanta Shastra. Are they given there? Okay, so we just highlight them. Shivagnana Bodham and Siddhanta Shastra are the two books which were written by them, but not very important. When it comes to the Shaivite movement, okay, Shaivite movement, rather than the Shivacharyas, the socio-religious reformers of Shaivism, okay, the socio-religious reformers of Shaivism, one second, they are more prominent, okay, the best example of which is the Virashaiva movement. So the next topic is Virashaiva movement. Before that, just have a look at the role of Acharyas. What did the Acharyas do exactly? All the Vaishnava Shivacharyas, mainly they contributed to philosophy. This is the first contribution of theirs. Then apart from that, they also contributed to the vernacular literature, because most of the books were written in the local languages. So that is the second contribution. And the third contribution of theirs is, okay, they gave or they supported the setup of temples and mutts. Temples and mutts, you write this down, this is not there. They contributed to development of temples and mutts. Along with that, they contributed to vernacular literature, and they also contributed to philosophy. Three domains they were prominent. Okay, mutts means you can give the example of Shankaracharya. Okay, if when it comes to temples, you can give the example of Divya Desams 108. Remember? Okay, Alavar 108 Divya Desams they wanted to promote. So all these places they supported construction of temples. So this way temple construction also, it took a full swing because of the Acharya tradition. Because of the Acharya tradition, vernacular literature contributions, and they also contributed to philosophy. And apart from that, okay, you write one more thing, okay, particularly Madhvacharya of Udupi laid the foundation for later day emergence of Carnatic music. Foundation for later day emergence of Carnatic music as part of Haridasa movement. Haridasa movement we'll discuss later. Okay, Haridasa movement. So this is the role of Acharyas. Yes. Okay. Role of Acharyas is this, and you write one more point. They also promoted liberal tendencies in society. They promoted. Okay, you can use the example of Shankara, you can use the example of Ramanujacharya. All of them, they promoted liberal tendencies in temples. Okay, in the society itself, they promoted liberal tendencies. That is one more contribution of theirs. Okay, so these things, they can ask a question. Okay, sub part of the question can be, okay, what is the contribution of Acharyas to Indian culture? Okay, this can also be asked as a sub part of a question. The following this. Okay. So these things you can give as examples. And now, next topic that we'll move to is the Virashaiva movement. The Virashaiva movement, it was started by a person by the name of Basavanna. Okay, Basavanna is the person who started this movement, and his time period is between 1105 to 1157. 1157. See, who is a contemporary of whom is very, very important. Okay, many questions. If you see the previous, are you seeing the previous year questions on Bhakti and Sufi? Okay, they asked a question whether Nimbarakacharya is a contemporary of Akbar or not. They asked a question whether Guru Nanak was a contemporary of Babar or not. Okay, so these kind of questions are being asked. Are you following what I'm trying to say? Okay, so that is the reason why I have given the time period very specifically. If you want to, you can designate the rulers also there. Okay, who was the ruling dynasty, particularly in North India, because Mughal rulers plus the Bhakti and Sufi saints, they are asking who is contemporary of whom. So you should write the rulers' names. Okay, that time period, who is the Cholan king or who is the ruling at Delhi. Okay, these kind of things you have to write parallel to them. Okay, this is your job. They have given crystal clearly the time periods and timelines. Definitely this is going to be a question. Because this is a set pattern now in UPSC that they are going to ask which ruler is contemporary of which Bhakti saints. Okay, 3 times it has been asked. So naturally there is a trend. So you have to do that. Now, Virashaiva movement, the time period of Basavanna is 1105 to 1157. 1105 to 1157 is the time period, and initially he was a minister of Kalachuris. Okay, Kalachuris, he was a minister of Kalachuris, and the other most important, okay, apart from Basava, the other most important saint of Virashaiva movement is Akka Mahadevi. Okay, she is also called Yakka Mahadevi in some places, but okay, usually it is called as Akka Mahadevi. The Akka Mahadevi is one more poet saint of Virashaivas. And when it comes to this Virashaiva movement is a anti-Brahminical movement. It's very, very important. You have to write this down. It's given there. Okay, it is anti-Brahminical in its nature. It is against the priestly domination in religion. It is against priestly domination. It was completely critical of the role of Brahmins in society as mediators between God and individual. Okay, this is very, very important because they were anti-Brahminical, naturally, not anti-Brahmin, anti-Brahminical, you write. It means that they are against anti-Brahminical ideology. They are not against Brahmins. They are against Brahminical ideology. They are against Brahminical ideology. And Brahminical ideology is what? Okay, firstly, there is priestly class domination. Second is there will be rituals and sacrifices. And third will be, there will be temple-based worship, right? Brahmanism, okay, there will be priestly class domination, there will be rituals and sacrifices, and there will be temple-based worship. So, they rejected all three of them. Okay, they rejected all three of them, and what they did is, in place of Brahmin priests, they started appointing priests of their own called Jangamas. It's given there, Jangamas as priests. Okay, priests are, yes, is there something different? Jangamas are appointed as priests by the Virashaivas. Okay, Virashaivas. Then apart from this, they also rejected temple-based worship. This is very important. They rejected temple-based worship, and rather than going and praying in a temple, okay, Virashaiva movement, it believes that a human body should be converted into a temple and the God should reside in human heart. Okay, this is the core essence of the philosophy, that we should not go to an external place in order to pray. One's individual life itself should be a prayer. Okay, there is no need to showcase externally that you are faithful. Okay, internally you be honest. Okay, your conduct should be good. So this is what Basavana has preached, and okay, that is the reason why the temple-based worship is rejected by the Virashaiva movement. Then apart from that, okay, they also usually carry the Ishtalinga on one's own body. Okay, every Virashaiva, they carry the Ishtalinga on one's own body. Then, apart from that, they also proclaimed that they were against animal sacrifices. Okay, they were against animal sacrifices. You just highlight the words. Animal sacrifices were banned by Basavana. And they gave a call that compassion should become the rule of, he gave a call that compassion should become the root of all religions. And one more thing that Basavana did was, he was anti-caste in his outlook. People from every walk of life, okay, were accepted into his fold. Okay, even untouchables, okay, Shudras, whatever the caste of the person might be, okay, they were openly included into the Basava movement or Virashaiva movement. And it was anti-caste in its outlook. Then Basavana never, okay, proclaimed that people should go for sannyasa. Okay, he wanted a bhakta to balance between, okay, the secular life and religious life. This is very important. There is a need for balance between secular and religious life. And Basavana is the best example for it. Okay, he was on one side, he was a minister, on the other side, he was a spiritual guru. So he proclaimed that the secular and religious aspects of life, they have to be balanced, and a person has to be both a family man and a spiritual seeker. You should not reject your family and go to Himalayas and do sannyasa. Okay, while being a family man itself, you will be able to, okay, practice spirituality. Okay, secular and religious aspects should be combined together. And his philosophy is called Shakti Visishtadvaita. His philosophy is called Shakti Visishtadvaita, which is very similar to the same Visishtadvaita of Ramanujacharya, but here the Vishnu is replaced by Shakti. Okay, Shakti or Shiva mainly. That is why it is called as Shakti Visishtadvaita, it is called. It's given there, right? Okay, Shakti Visishtadvaita it is called. And they also composed numerous poems which are known as Vachanas in Kannada. So it contributed to the development of vernacular literature. Okay, and so Basava movement is so liberal that in the position of men and women, it was equated. In fact, he also talked against gender discrimination in society too. He talked against gender discrimination in society, and he proposed, okay, very liberal practices like widow remarriage, intercaste dining, okay, and one more thing is he proposed for the burying of the dead. Burying of the dead, intercaste dining, and widow remarriages. Okay, these are the three progressive reforms which are supported by Basavanna. Okay, widow remarriage is very progressive, right? Yes or no? Even today, widow remarriage is not considered very, or it is looked down upon usually. But he proposed at that point of time itself, okay, gender discrimination. He was talking against gender discrimination, and he was proposing for widow remarriage on one side, intercaste dining on other, and the third one is, okay, this is important, that he resorted to burying of the dead people. Okay, rather than burning them, okay, rather than burning them, what people used to do is they resorted to burying the dead people. This is because it is considered as a pro-poor attitude. Because poor people, they did not have the necessary capability to buy the wood in order to burn the dead. So what he did is he replaced the system of burning the dead, and he resorted to the practice of burying the dead people. Okay, so that is the reason why I think in most of South India, burying is more popular than, okay, burning the dead people. Whereas in North, usually cremation is more prominent. Okay, cremation means burning of the dead people is called cremation. So their cremation is more prominent. Here it is burying the dead is more prominent, and he had a broad-based impact on, okay, South Indian society, particularly in the regions of, okay, South Maharashtra, North Karnataka. Okay, then apart from that, some sections of Andhra Pradesh also were deeply influenced by the philosophy of Basavanna. Okay, were deeply influenced by the philosophy of Basavanna, and he also believed that there is no life after death. This is very important. There is no life after death. There is one more belief of his. There is no life after death. Okay, and he also established these things called Anubhava Mandapas. Okay, Anubhava Mandapas are the places of spiritual discourse, where people used to gather together and they used to discuss about spiritual issues. Okay, Anubhava Mandapa is one more. And he also believed in the Bhakti as a Marga. Bhakti as a Marga. And, okay, Basava always gave, okay, more significance to the moving aspects of life rather than the static. Okay, he was against Stavara, which is a static. And he was always towards progress, which is known as Jangama. Jangama means progress. Static means Stavara. Okay, whatever is static, it will become stale. Whatever is moving always remains pure. Okay, this was his ideology. Okay, this was his ideology, which gives a call for very active life. Okay, if you are passive, automatically you will become impure. If you are active and continuously moving forward, then you will become pure. So this is the idea of Basava. So these are the core ideas, and I think you can easily write a 10-marker answer on this basis. Okay, if more information is needed, I think for UPSC this is sufficient. Okay, for UPSC this is sufficient. If additional information, anything for your state services, okay, please you do your own research. Okay, this is where the buck of UPSC stops. Okay, I think this is enough for UPSC examination. They can't go further beyond this. Okay, along with that, we also talked about Akka Mahadevi. Akka Mahadevi is the woman Bhakti saint of Virabhadra Movement. She also has composed numerous Vachanas. Okay, and all of them, they show this kind of love towards Shiva. Okay, same Bhakti. Okay, on one side Bhakti, on the other side social reform, and the third side is individual moral development. Three things he talked about. Okay, one side is faith. The second is social practices he wanted to change. Third is he wanted to convert the individuals into moral human beings. So all aspects of religion are present in the Virashaiva movement. Okay, belief is present. Okay, then social reform is present, or social ordering is present. Then the third one is individual moral development. All three are present in Virashaiva movement. That is the reason why some petitions were filed in a Supreme Court to declare that Virashaiva or Lingayat as a separate religion. But the most unfortunate part is, after the death of Basavanna, Virashaivas, they became a caste group in themselves. And Basavanna himself was always against caste as a division of society. But it got converted into a separate caste in India, okay, which practices interdining, intermarriage. Yes or no? Okay, so that is how, okay, so that is the reason why, okay, whatever the philosophy might be, after the death of the founder, usually it gets transformed. Take the case of Buddha, take the case of Basavanna, okay, take the case of, I'll show you Guru Nanak also, similarly. Okay, whatever they have preached, the followers have changed the religion according to their own needs. That is the reason why, okay, rather than God making man, it is man who makes God according to his own needs. Yes or no? Okay, according to his own needs, It is man who makes God. Okay, so that is one idea. Now we'll move to the next topic. That is, it is not given in the handout, you have to write it down. Okay, role of temples in South Indian society. Role of temples in South Indian society is very, very important. Okay. Temple is a very important institution in South Indian society, and it has multiple number of rules. Okay, multiple number of rules. It is not just a place of worship. It is not just a place of religious worship. In fact, it is in fact organically linked with the society. You write this word. Temple is organically linked with society, and it is not a mere place of worship. It's not mere place of worship. It's not a mere place of worship. Okay, in fact, it has multiple dimensions to it. So we'll discuss about the role of temple exactly. Okay, first listen to me, then after that I'll give time for you guys to write. Okay, see, in South India, a temple was a very, very important institution. Okay, primarily because the temples are not disassociated with the society, and in fact they were organically linked to the society, and they used to fulfill most of the needs of society were also fulfilled by the temple. So first and foremost, if you see, temple is a place of worship, yes, and it is also center from which the Bhakti movement started. Most of the Bhakti saints, they also consider one of the temple's chief deities as their own god, yes or no? So Bhakti movement also started from here. Then apart from that, it is also a center for pilgrimage. People from different places, they come to this temple town, in order to pray to the god. Okay, so it is a center of first and foremost, it is a center of worship. It is also a center of pilgrimage, and it is the place from which bhakti has originated. Then apart from this role, this was the intended role of a temple. But apart from this role, they also play political, social, economic, and cultural role. 4 roles they have: political, economic, social, and cultural role. When it comes to the political role, what political role can temple play? Any guess? What could be the temple doing? Place for meetings. Okay, so in ancient India or in medieval times too, in South India particularly, the political role of temple, it starts with the aspect called sabha, wherein there are assemblies which are conducted in the temple premises, and most of the decisions about the village are taken in the temple premises itself, which is known as sabha. So politically, they play the role of the place where the sabha or the village meetings are typically conducted. The village meetings are typically conducted in the sabha. So this is the first role. And second role politically that they play is, temples play a very important role in giving legitimacy to the king. Legitimacy to the king is provided by the temples. Legitimacy to the king. How can temples provide legitimacy to the king? What is the meaning of legitimacy? Meaning of legitimacy is what? A legitimate thing to do is always something which is socially accepted thing to do. I am saying that king is provided social acceptance by the temples. Any guess? Head of religion is God, and head of sabha, no. Head of sabha is just the village chief, is the head of the sabha. How can temples provide legitimacy to the king? Priests proclaim the king as proclaim the king's authority over the land. This is one method. Wherein the priests of the temple, they proclaim that the king has authority over all land. And along with that, usually, so if you see, most of the kings in South India, they proclaim themselves to be proxies of God. Proxies of God. Best example is the Vijayanagara kings. They proclaim themselves to be the proxy of Virupaksh. They said that their rule is, in fact, the rule is being conducted by Lord Virupaksh. But in his place, I am just ruling here. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So most of the kings, they got their legitimacy from the gods in temple. They got their legitimacy from the gods in temple. So this is very, very important idea. That is the reason why the kings focused mainly on construction of large temple structures, because it has improved their legitimacy in society. Okay, more number of people accept the authority of the king, okay, because the king is associated with some sacred activities like temple construction. Okay, that is the reason why there was proliferation of temple construction during both the Chola period, Vijayanagara period, and later times too. So it means that the temples are providing legitimacy to the king to rule a particular state. Are you following this? So this is the second political role of a temple. When it comes to the economic role, okay, I'll just give a brief. The economic role, temples were very, very rich during medieval times. Okay, they were rich because the king used to contribute enormous amount of money to them. Then apart from getting these contributions, what they used to do is they also got land grants. Most of the temples had land grants. Even now the temples have lands of their own, endowments they are called. So these land grants, okay, they were given by the kings and the rich people of the society, and thousands of acres of lands were given as devadana to the temple. So temple played an important role in economy because they are in fact landlords in their own right. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So this is one role. Then apart from that, most of the temple towns, they are also centers of trade and commerce. They are also centers of trade and commerce. In fact, the construction of a temple, it started urbanization in South India. There are many urban centers which are around the temples. Okay, the best example is, can you give any example of a town which is around a temple? Okay, Hampi. Okay, Hampi, the Virupaksh temple was constructed first, then the city developed. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So similarly, you take any Cholan temple for that matter, Gangaikonda Cholapuram. Take the case of Tanjavur. Okay, Tanjavur, it developed around the Gangaikonda Cholapuram temple. Okay, Madurai, Meenakshi temple around the city has developed, because every temple is associated with a market. I think you might be knowing about it. In South India, most of the temples have associated markets to them. Okay, people who go for pilgrimage, they go in and they come out into a market usually. So they are places of trade and commerce. They are places of trade and commerce, and this is how temples led to urbanization in South India. This is a very important idea. Then apart from that, okay, the temples also used to directly participate in trade and commerce by funding, trade and commerce. They used to directly invest their money with the traders. They used to function as bankers too. They used to take deposits. They used to invest the money in some places, and they used to earn money through that. Okay, so this is how through investment also they played an important role in economy. Are you following what I'm trying to say? Are you getting this? Okay, trade and commerce, then urbanization, then apart from that, they also participated in investing the money by banking. Okay, and they also used to take deposits. Then apart from that, one more economic role is they are landlords. Along with that, one more economic role of the temple is temples actively participated in the process of lake and tank construction. Tank construction in order to develop agriculture. The temples were actively involved in tank construction. This is one more role that they played as part of economy. Then when it comes to the social role of temples, temples played an important role in society, okay, primarily through education. Temples are the centers of education in South India. Most of the Patshalas, and Gurukuls, they are organized in the temple premises. Take the case of Veda Patshalas. Okay, even if you go to TTD, okay, Tirumal Tirupati Devasthanam also, there is a Veda Patshala there. Similarly, most of the South Indian states, they used to host educational institutions within the temple premises. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Then apart from that, the temples also played an important role in social integration. They used to integrate the different tribal groups into mainstream Hinduism. Okay, so this is one more role that they used to play by acculturation process. I think I talked about this acculturation process once before, and temples played an important role in acculturizing the tribals and attracting them towards mainstream religion. Okay, see, the Jagannath temple initially, it was a small hut, but later day, after Hinduism has taken over Jagannatha cult, they constructed a big temple on it. You're getting this? So after constructing a big temple, the entire tribal population of Odisha, it was already associated with Jagannatha. Now it became more popular, and all of them became Hindus at one go. If you take over a temple, okay, the followers of that temple, they will become part of your own religion. So this is how temples played an important role in social integration in society. Okay, are you getting this? So apart from this, they also played an important role in culture, because temples are the places where dance, drama and music they developed. Okay, the best example is Udupi Mutt and its association with Carnatic music. Okay, then South Indian Tamil Nadu temples and their association with Bharatanatyam dance. Okay, then drama traditions of Kerala also, all of them are based out of temple complex only. So this way, okay, everything is associated with the temple in South India. So they are very, very important institutions, and this can be asked as a proper 15 marker question in your mains, and you have to write it with examples. Okay, I'll give more examples also when I discuss about architecture too, and this is the role that temples play. And temples were an organic outgrowth of the society. That is the reason why, okay, whenever there was an invasion, the primary targets of the invaders used to be temples, because by breaking the temple down, okay, you can actually break the morale of people. You can impact them politically, economically, socially, in every which way. Culturally also you can undermine them. Their psychology, their confidence in life is based on temple. If you break the temple, automatically their psychology gets destroyed. They will become weak, they will become submissive. So that is the reason why temples also became centers of target by the invaders. Are you following this? Okay, this was a standard practice. That is the reason why temples are very important. Temples are very important. And in North India also, temples at one point of time, they used to play this role. Okay, but because of the destruction, okay, which was there on temples in North India, South Indian temples, they were saved. They were relatively saved when compared to the North Indian temples. So naturally, so South Indian temples, even today, they are playing this role. Okay, but in North India, this role is not there. Are you getting this? That's the reason why I was being specific that temples of South India, they played this important role in society. Okay, so you now make a note. Okay, make a note. First and foremost, temples are places of worship, promotion of bhakti, and they are also pilgrimage centers. Pilgrimage centers. Okay, so you can give the example of Srirangam temple, which is associated with Sri Vaishnava tradition. I told you that it is the largest temple complex in India. Yes, Srirangam temple is a place of worship. It is a place of pilgrimage and also is a center of bhakti. Okay, all the Vachanas, they are associated with the same thing. No, not Vachanas. Okay, the people, three people, that is Ramanujacharya, Nathamuni and Yamunacharya. All three of them are associated with the same thing. Who is the guru of Ramanujacharya? Yadav Prakash. Okay, Yadav Prakash is the guru. Okay, so just one example you write, Srirangam temple you write. I'll give examples for each of these things. Now you write, okay, the social role played by temple. Social role first you write. When it comes to the social role may we have what role? What social role is that? Education. Okay, social role may you put a dash and you write education. Temples were centers of learning. Temples were centers of learning and hosted patashalas and gurukuls. Hosted patashalas and gurukuls. Okay, the best example for which is which one? TTD. Okay, you can write Tirumala Tirupati Devasthana. Also, you can write. Okay, Tirumala Devasthana. You can give the example. Then the next one is. Okay, I think you know about this thing, right? Okay, even Sri Krishna Devaraya's image is present in Tirumala Tirupati Devasthana. Did you see it? Okay, you people don't visit TTD because it is too busy. Okay, there is a big bust of Sri Krishna Devaraya. Okay, big bust of Sri Krishna Devaraya, and after that, even Achyuta Devaraya's image is also there. Okay, along with his consorts. Okay, so all these rulers, they were associated with the temple of TTD. Okay, they were closely associated, and they contributed a hell lot of money to this temple because. Okay, the people who are pilgrims to this temple will automatically become the followers of the king too. That is how the legitimacy will come. Yes or no? Okay, if the king is equated to God, the followers of the God will become the followers of the king too. So that is how legitimacy is developed in society. Okay, legitimacy is developed in society. That is how religion used to play a very, very important role in society in medieval times. Because religion, it provided the necessary legitimacy for the king to rule. Okay, the king to rule. Okay, if the king says that I am superior to you, then no one is going to listen. Okay, I have God behind me, then everyone will bow to the king. Yes or no? Okay, that is the strategy which was used in order to gain legitimacy. So social role. Then second is social integration. You just write one word, social integrative role, and you give the example of the Jagannath temple. Social integration role, Jagannath temple example you give. That is the second social role that they used to play. Yeah, and in fact, third social role is also there. Temples used to play important role in charity and philanthropy. Charity and philanthropy role also was played by temples. That is the reason why beggars got associated with temple. Okay, charity and philanthropy is one more important role that the temple used to play. Charity and philanthropy, free food. Okay, these kind of things are done even today, right? Okay, prasada. So next one is, after that, okay, you can give any example, okay, for that. Next one is the economic role of temple. Economic role. Temples are landlords because of Devadana. Economic role. Temples are landlords because of Devadana 1. Second one is they played a role in construction of tanks and wells. Tanks and wells. You write constructed tanks and wells. That's it. Single line. Landlords, Devadana, then tanks and wells, construction. Tanks and wells, construction. Okay, you know about this Grand Anicut Canal? It has been in news recently, okay, which has been constructed during the early Chola period, and even today it is intact, the Grand Anicut Canal. Okay, you can write the example of Grand Anicut Canal. We'll talk about it later too. Okay, Grand Anicut Canal. I think while talking about Sangam age, I talked about this Grand Anicut Canal, if you remember. Okay, fine. If not, okay, check manifest, this Journals of India, there is an article on Grand Anicut Canal too. Okay, it is a very prominent canal, and they were developed by the temples and the king together, they developed it. Then after this, okay, the other economic role played by the temple was, temple was a center of trade and commerce. Temple was a center of trade and commerce and formed the nucleus for urbanization. Formed a nucleus for urbanization. Can you give example? Okay, you can Hampi example you can give. Okay, Hampi example you can give, or you can give the example of Madurai also. Similarly, it became a market center because it was primarily a temple center, but later it became a market center too. Okay, the next economic role played by temple was, okay, temples acted as bankers. Temples acted as bankers. Bankers used to take deposits and invest money. Take deposits and invest money too. And invest money. So, okay, you can give the example of Gangaikonda Chalapuram temple itself. Okay, Gangaikonda Chalapuram temple, it used to play a very important role in trade and commerce. By investing money, it was a banking institution too for the Chola trading guilds. Okay, Chola trading guilds, it is a banking institution. Okay, next one is economic role is done, right? Is there anything missing? Education, agriculture and irrigation development, craft and trade, finance, okay, temple-led urbanization. I think economic thing is done. Now write about the political aspect. First is legitimacy and ideological support to king. Legitimacy means social acceptance. Remember, okay, there is a, what is legal is different from what is legitimate. Okay, legitimacy or ideological support to king. Ideological support to king. Okay, so you have again and again used Chola and Vijayanagara temple examples. Here you write about the example of Belur and Halebid, okay, and Hoysala dynasty. Belur, Halebid and Hoysala dynasty. Hoysala, Halebid and Belur. Okay, next one is political legitimacy. Apart from political legitimacy, what other political role they used to play? Okay, they were the centers of Sabha. Center of Sabha. Centers of Sabha. Okay, can you give an example for this? Which one? Anubhava Mandapa is different. Okay, Sabha is political. Anubhava Mandapa is for spiritual discourses alone. And Anubhava Mandapa, they are established independent of temples initially during the time of Basavanna. Okay, they were established independent of temples because Basavanna was against temple-based worship. Okay, later they also became part of temples. Yes or no? Okay. So what example you can give? If there is a famous temple in Tamil Nadu, which is known as the Uttar Merur temple at Uttar Merur. Okay, Vaikunta Perumal temple at Uttar Merur. Vaikunta Perumal temple. Vaikunta Perumal temple at Uttar Merur. UTTAR, Uttar Merur, MERUR, Uttar Merur. That was the center of Sabas. So political role is finished. Now we'll move to the next role, that is cultural role. Cultural role, they promoted dance, Bharatanatyam, Devadasi tradition. Both of them are linked, right? In fact, Bharatanatyam was a Devadasi dance form. Bharatanatyam and Devadasi tradition first. Then when it comes to music, you can use the example of Udupi Mutt and Devadasi tradition, Bharatanatyam, Udupi Mutt, Carnatic music. Temples of Kerala associated with drama. The Kuthu tradition. Kuthu means drama in Malayalam. Kuthu tradition is associated with the temples. Kuthu. I'll talk about them later too. Right. So this is the role a temple played in Indian society. Okay, this is the role played by a temple in Indian society. So all of these are the various facets of the temple's functionality. This is how it used to function. This is fine. Okay, I think you'll be able to easily identify these things when you also visit temples now. Okay, that is the reason why temples have so many mandapas. Each mandapa used to perform a particular function. There was a Rang Mandapa for cultural activities. Okay, there was Ardh Mandap. Okay, there was Mahamandap. Mahamandap is for Sabas. So this way, each mandap used to play a particular role in the temple complex. Okay, next time you visit a temple, you see these things. Okay, you try to identify these things, and every temple in South India is associated with a temple market. Okay, temple market, even if you go to Mysore, Chamundeshwari temple, immediately after coming out, there will be a shopping complex, right? Yeah, that was the shopping complex. Traditional Indian shopping complex is that. Okay, but now we have moved away from temple to cities. Okay, posh multiplexes and malls have been constructed, but original Indian market was that. And most of the purchases, exchanges, they used to occur at a temple. Okay, and a temple is also a center for conducting marriages too. Okay, but I don't want to go into that. Now, next one is a Mahaprabhu Movement. Okay, now South India is done. Now we'll go to Eastern India. And in Eastern India, we are going to discuss about the Bhakti movement in two places. One is Assam and the second one is Bengal. One is Assam and the second one is Bengal. When it comes to Eastern India, in Eastern India, first I will give one text. There is a text called Gita Govinda by Jayadeva. Okay, Jayadeva's Gita Govinda, it played a seminal role in promoting the idea of Bhakti in Eastern India. Played a seminal role in promoting the idea of Bhakti in Eastern India, Gita Govinda by Jayadev. Okay, it revolves around the concept of Krishna Bhakti. Okay, Krishna Bhakti. The main theme of this Gita Govinda is what? The main theme is simple. Okay, it is the relation between Krishna and Gopis. Here, Krishna is considered to be the Lord, Gopis are considered to be the followers. Okay, Krishna Gopi, Krishna in Vrindavan, okay, along with Gopis. Gopis are none other than the pilgrims. Krishna is the Lord. Okay, remember the husband-wife relationship I talked about in Alavars. The same allegory has been taken up, and now it is being attributed to Krishna and Gopi. Okay, Krishna and Gopi role, and this is the very, very important book which has been written by Jayadev. Okay, Krishna Gopi relationship. And initially, this book was written down in Sanskrit. Later, it was translated into the local languages. Initially, this book was written down in Sanskrit, but later translated into vernacular languages. Later translated to vernacular languages. And of these movements in Eastern India, the most important one is Mahaprabhu movement. They can ask a question independently on this. You put a mark M here. And this movement, it was supported by a person called, the origin of this movement is with this person called Shankardev. And he is present between 1449 to 1568. 1449 to 1568. Okay, when was Mughal rule established in India? 1526, right? So he was a contemporary of Mughal Babur. Okay, Babur, he was a contemporary of, Babur, and Humayun also he was a contemporary of. If I am not wrong, even in the initial stages, 1565 is the year when Akbar has been crowned, I think. Just check it once. Okay. Even Akbar also he was a contemporary of. Okay, Babur, Humayun and Akbar. You can write all three names. All three names, Babur, Humayun and Akbar. And you can also take the name Lodi, last stage of Lodi dynasty too. Okay, Lodi, Akbar, Babur and Humayun. Check Akbar's time period once. 1556, yes. The last, he was very young at that point of time. The first 10 years also, Shankardeva was a contemporary. And this Shankardeva, what he did is, he promoted the ideas of Vaishnavism in Assam. And he played a very important role in converting the local tribals into Vaishnavite religion. Vaishnavite religion, he played a very important role in converting the local tribals into Vaishnavite religion. And his main focus was two regions. One is Ahom and the second one is Cooch Behar. Ahom and Cooch Behar are the major areas of his focus. The Ahom kingdom means Assam. Cooch Behar is the district which has gone to Bangladesh, right? You remember the enclaves issue? Yes. Okay, Cooch Behar was a very, very important princely state. So these two princely states and the rulers of the princely states also he converted into Vaishnavism. They in fact had some tribal belief systems before that. But this is the person who converted them into Vaishnavism. And in fact, this Shankardeva, he is considered to be a polymath. Okay, polymath who is an expert in many subjects. Expert in many subjects he was. And he proposed a dharma which is based on Vaishnavite Bhakti, which is called Ek Saran Dharma. Ek Saran Dharma is his dharma's name. Ek Saran Dharma. Okay. And his followers are called Dasyas. His followers are called Dasyas. Okay, they are slaves to God, not to any individual, but they are slaves to God. And he organized this Mahaprabhu movement around mutts which are called as Sataras. Sataras are the mutts or assemblies around which he organized the religion. He organized his religion around these Sataras, and Sataras played a very important role in the development of culture. The development of culture, they played a very important role. In fact, there is a dance form called Satariya dance. Okay, it is one of the classical dances of India today. Satariya dance form, it emerged or it took its name from this Sataras. It developed in this Sataras only. And Shankardeva himself, okay, he was the one who formulated this dance form. All its movements, okay, stylized movements, he was the one who formulated these movements, which is known as Satariya dance form. In the end, it is not given very clearly. Mudras, facial gestures and stylized movements, which is known as Satariya dance form. You write it down. It's not given. Last line may. Satariya dance form he developed. Then apart from Satariya dance form, he also contributed to development of a new form of theatre in Assam. Theatre means drama. New form of drama also he developed. And this drama is known as Ankya Nat or Ankya Bhavana. Ankya Nat or Ankya Bhavana means the drama form which was developed by Shankardeva. And he also wrote numerous books. Okay, these books are Kirtan Ghosh, Bar Geet, Harishchandra Upakhya. Okay, three books he has written: Kirtana Ghosh, Bar Geet and Harishchandra Upakhya. So these three are written by him. And he also formulated a new language which is known as Brajavali. Okay, write this now. Very important. Dance, theatre, okay, books, literature. Then apart from that, he created a new language also, which is known as Brajavali, which is called Brajavali. And he also developed a unique weaving technique called the technique of weaving Vrindavan Vastra. New weaving technique also he developed, based on which this Vrindavan Vastra is created. So his contribution is to nearly 5 levels of culture. Okay, one is dance, second is drama, the third one is literature, fourth is language, okay, and fifth is weaving technique. So 5 places he has contributed to culture. This is very important. And his dharma is called as Ek Sharan Dharma, and it is based on complete surrender to God. That is the reason why it is the followers are called Dasyas of God. Okay, you write it down. It is based on the concept of surrender. Surrender. It revolves around the concept of surrender. An individual should surrender his complete ego, good, bad, okay, whatever it might be, to God. Okay, this is very important. Okay, and he is the one who popularized this idea of kirtanas. Kirtanas in Assam. Okay, kirtanas in Assam. Shankar Deva. Because of his influence only, some states in Northeast India, particularly Assam, is one. And the second one is, which other state has a Hindu population majority in Northeast? Manipur. Okay, Manipur is one more state. It also followed the same philosophy of Shankar Deva. And even the dance form called Manipuri, it takes its inspiration from Satariya dance forms only. The same themes were again reflected in Manipuri dance form too. Manipuri is also one more classical dance of India. Yes? Yes, no? Okay, doubtful. Okay. So, Manipuri is one more classical dance form, and this Mahaprabhu movement, it had its impact on Manipur too. You write this down. It had its impact on Manipur too. Manipur. Very popular. This Satariya dance is very popular. Okay, they usually have. Okay, this, you know about this island called Majoli Island? Usually, annually there is a feast which is conducted there. Okay, fest is conducted there. A religious ritual is conducted there, and this religious ritual is also associated with this Mahaprabhu movement only. Okay, it is associated with this Mahaprabhu movement only. So this is very important. That is Shankar Deva's Mahaprabhu movement. The next one is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When it comes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time period is also 1486 to 1534. He is almost a contemporary of Shankar Deva. Both of them are contemporaries. He is only contemporary of Lodis and Babar. Lodis and Babar, 1526 to 1535, I think he rules, Babar. Then after that, there is Humayun. He was a contemporary of Lodis and Babar. Lodis and Babar. And when it comes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a very, very important personality in Bengal, and he started a cult around Krishna Bhakti. Okay, his main theme is Krishna Bhakti, and he is the only philosopher in North India who talked about the relation between Brahman and Atman. In North May, he is the only philosopher who talked about the relation between Brahman and Atman, and he gave a new meaning to the relation between Brahman and Atman, which is called as Achintya Bheda Abheda. Achintya Bheda Abheda. Is it given there? Achintya Bheda Abheda. Bheda Abheda is the philosophy of whom? Dvaita Advait. Nimbarakacharya. He talked about this Bheda Abheda or Dvaita Advaita. So he took this concept from Nimbaraka, and what he did is he added a word to it called Achintya. Achintya means, hey, the relation between Brahman and Atman is incomprehensible for human beings. Very good. Okay, our philosophy. It is incomprehensible. You will never be able to understand the exact relation between Brahman and Atman. He proclaimed it, which is called as Achintya Bheda Abheda. Okay, our position is also the same, right? We are also not understanding the exact relation. So same thing he also says. Achintya Bheda Abheda. Incomprehensible nature of the relation between Brahman and Atman. This is his most seminal contribution. Okay, UPSC has asked a specific question on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy for 15 marks. His students were shocked. They just know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a Bengali. Okay, apart from that, they don't know anything. 15 mark ka question aa gaya exam mein. Okay, recently, just 3 years back. Okay, from then on, okay, we have significantly increased the content for each philosopher. Because you should be able to write something, right? Okay, otherwise what will happen in the examination? Okay, you can't write a Kirtana of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and come out. Okay, you have to write about him. Okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And apart from this Achintya Bheda Abheda, he was also a follower of the Sahajiya doctrine. You remember Sahajiya doctrine, which is a part of Tantricism in Bengal? You remember? Okay, he was a follower of this Sahajiya doctrine. It is given there. Dekho, Sahajiya, that is naturalism. He was a follower of Sahajiya or naturalism, doctrine of naturalism. Sahajiya, third line. Sahajiya is a follower of naturalism. So this is his idea. And one more contribution of this person is he started organizing, okay, this public dancing rituals which are known as Sankirtana. Public hymn singing and dancing rituals which are known as Sankirtana. They are just like flash mob. Okay, suddenly all the followers, they come to the street, okay, they'll start dancing and singing in praise of God. Okay, same concept, okay, which is called Sankirtana. Okay, his new contribution is he started this practice of Sankirtana, and he also called it as Satsang. Okay, Satsang or Sankirtana practice, where people used to gather together, okay, sing songs in praise of God, dance there itself. Okay, this is called Sankirtana or Satsang. It is called Satsang. This is one more contribution of his. Okay, then he also very clearly, his marga is called Raga Marga. Okay, it is very different from Bhakti Marga. In Bhakti Marga, there is only emotional surrender. Here, okay, he's telling that through music and dancing, a person can get liberated. That is what is called Raga Marga. Okay, this is one more difference from the traditional Indian Bhakti. Traditional Indian Bhakti may, if you emotionally surrender, that itself is sufficient. But this person is saying that after surrendering, you come onto streets and you have to dance, sing. Then only you will get moksha. A more advanced form of Bhakti. Okay, you people don't understand satire. That is my problem. Okay. Okay. So, Raga Marga. Then he also condemned all rituals and caste distinctions. This is very important. Condemned rituals and caste distinctions in society. Okay, and he also gave great emphasis to virtue of an individual. Virtue of an individual. And he used the same theme of Krishna and Radha, which has been developed by Jayadev. Jayadev has already developed it, and he used the same allegory of Krishna and Radha. Krishna and Radha. And he also wrote some books which are called as Sikshastakam. Sikshastakam, which contains 8 verses which are central to this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Gaudiya Vaishnavism, it is called. Okay, you can use the word Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Gaudiya Vaishnavism, it is called. There are 8 verses, Sikshastakam. Sikshastakam, 8 verses, which talk about the core philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he is the one who gave this mantra called Hare Krishna mantra. Okay, there is ISKCON, maybe usually Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. Okay, that. Okay, he was the one who has given that mantra. Okay, you need not write that mantra in the exam. Okay, so Hare Krishna mantra was given by this person, and at the time of his death, he appointed 6 Goswamins as his followers. 6 Goswamins as his followers, and he sent them to Vrindavan. Vrindavan is Mathura, and one of these Goswamins himself, he started this movement called ISKCON movement. Okay, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Yes, ISKCON movement, it is directly linked to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you go to the temple of ISKCON in Bangalore too, you will find the images of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he is the first originator for this discipline. Later, many Goswamins developed, and these Goswamins, okay, they promoted the same ideology of Krishna consciousness. And the last of whom was, who was the last important preacher in ISKCON? Whenever you go there, you find a bust image of him. Prabhupada. Okay, Prabhupada. Okay. It is all my illusion. I am living in Maya. Okay. So this is ISKCON, and in ISKCON, Maya is equated with, you write this, Krishna consciousness. Maya is equated with Krishna consciousness. It means that everything is a creation of Krishna. It is all the Leela or Maya of Krishna. So Krishna consciousness is the concept here. And they used to pray to a form of Krishna which is known as Sat, Chit and Ananda. Okay, Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat means he is truth. Chit means he is always present. Ananda, he is a blissful being. Okay, this form of Krishna was usually prayed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sat, Chit, Ananda Krishna. Okay. Achintya Bheda Abheda, Sikshastakam, then Sahajaya doctrine, okay, virtue, condemning rituals, all of these are different aspects of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so this, I think now easily we can write a 15 marker answer. If you write these kind of points, immediately the examiner will give 7 to 8 marks. There is no doubt. Okay, you write Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It will be tough. Okay, next one. We'll move to the next topic. Eastern India is done. Now we'll go to proper North India. North India, and here the most important scholar or the foundational figure in Bhakti movement in North India is this person called Ramanand. Ramanand, and he is present between 1400 to 1476. 1476, and this person Ramanand, okay, he was a wandering monk. He was a wandering monk, and what he did is he came to South India, and in South India he became a disciple of Ramanujacharya first. And okay, he is considered a link between South Indian and North Indian Bhakti, just like Vallabhacharya, because Vallabhacharya also belonged to South India and he used to regularly reside in Mathura. So this person also came down south. He stayed in Srirangam. He was a disciple of Sri Ramanujacharya, and after that he went back to north. Okay, the person's name is Ramanand, and he was present between 1400 to 1476. 1400 to 1476. Okay, maybe this is the period of the Tughlaqs. Okay, I think so. It is the period of Tughlaqs. Check it once. Yes. 1451 is Lodi. That before that, just 10 years, I think. Okay, the Tughlaqs were there. So Saids were there, and before that, Lodis were more prominent. Okay, maybe you can write. Okay, Tughlaqs. The period of maybe Firoz Shah Tughlaq in particular, because he ruled for nearly 50 years. Okay, you can write Firoz Shah Tughlaq's name too. Okay, but you have to check it once. Okay, I'm just telling out of my memory. Okay, you have to check it, cross-check these things once. Now, he started a sampradaya which is known as Ramanandi Sampradaya, which is also called Vairagis or Bairagis. Bairagi or Ramananda Sampradaya is something which has started. And this is a group of monks. It is a monkhood. Okay, Ramananda Sampradaya is a group of monkhood. Okay, all the monks, they are organized into this. And he is a follower of Ramanujacharya, I already talked about. And he is also a follower of Nathpanthis. Remember Nathpanthis, the secret group of people who move from one place to another, who practice Hatha Yoga. So he was also inspired by the preachings of Nathpanthis too. And he is considered a foundational figure because his followers are Kabir, Bhagat Pipa and Dhanna. Kabir was a very important figure in Bhakti movement in North India. And this person, he is a follower of Ramananda. Kabir is a follower of Ramananda. And his outlook was also anti-caste in its outlook. He accepted followers from different castes and religions. No differentiation at all. He accepted followers from all religions. And he also wrote books in Hindi. Gyan Leela and Yoga Chintamani are written in Hindi. Gyan Leela and Yoga Chintamani, 2 books. And in Sanskrit, he has written a book called Vaishnava Mata Bijakshara and Ramarchana Paddhati. Okay, 2 books. Ramarchana Paddhati and Vaishnava Mata Bijakshara are 2 books. And this parampara of Ramananda Sampradaya, it is also known as Sant Parampara. Okay, Sant Parampara also means the same thing. Sant Parampara also means the same thing. And this person, he is very tolerant and he accepted both Sagun and Nirgun form of Bhakti. Okay, his followers, some of them are Sagun, some of them are Nirgun. Take the case of Kabir, he is a Nirgun Bhakta. Yes, some of them were Sagun, some of them were Nirgun. And he also accepted both the paths of asceticism and householder. Asceticism and householder, both of them he accepted. And the language that he used is Braj Bhasha. Braj Bhasha. And he also promoted interreligious understanding between Islam and Hinduism. Interreligious understanding between Islam and Hinduism too, he tried to promote. Okay, so these are the important contributions of Ramananda. Same, sir. Exactly the same. Okay, they are bhaktas. Okay, their core philosophy is bhakti. Okay, and they accepted, he is the person who accepted both Sagun and Nirgun form of God. He established a monkhood which is called as Sant Parampara, Bairagis or Vairagis. Okay, and they are also called as Ramananda Sampradayis. And he is a follower of Ramanujacharya and Nathpanthis. He proposed the same idea of bhakti or surrender towards God, and he was against rituals, caste system. Okay, and he was also against Brahminical domination, and he was pro this idea of interreligious amity between Hinduism and Islam. Okay, these were the core philosophies of Ramanand, very important figure in North. And after Ramanand, okay, the next important thinker or Bhakti saint is Kabir. Next important Bhakti saint is Kabir, and His time period is not very clear. Okay, there is a lot of discussion and debate about when Kabir was born, when he died. So it is roughly given as 14th and 15th centuries is his time period. And historical evidence points to he being a contemporary of Lodis. He being a contemporary of Lodis. So this is important. Lodi dynasty contemporary he was. And Kabir, he had a very unique upbringing. Okay, very unique upbringing. In fact, he was born to a Brahmin widow. He was born to a Brahmin widow, and the widow was unable to maintain him. So what she did is she gave up Kabir for adoption. And a Muslim tailor family, not tailor, weaver, a Muslim weaver family, they adopted Kabir. So in birth he was Brahmin, but in upbringing he was a Muslim. Okay, and that is the reason why both the communities, both Hindus and Muslims today, claim Kabir to be a person of their own faith. But Kabir's own ideology was little different. Okay, it is different from both Hinduism and Islam. And Kabir, okay, he was a follower of Ramanand, and he accepted the path of householder based worship. He never went for complete asceticism or sannyasa. He was a householder, he was doing his economic activities, and parallelly he was preaching his spiritual doctrine. So that is the significance of Kabir. And Kabir, this person, he was a Nirguna Bhakta. Okay, he was a Nirguna Bhakta. He was a believer in a formless form of God. Okay, formless form of God. So this is more important. He believed in this formless God. Then apart from that, Kabir is a thoroughgoing rationalist. He used to apply reason to every socio-cultural practice. Whatever the socio-cultural practice might be, he used to apply reason to it, and if it doesn't fit into his dimension of reason, he used to reject it. Okay, any ritual sacrifice, he used to logically apply his brain to it, saying that what is the need of this ritual and sacrifice. And finally, he used to conclude that ritual and sacrifice is being conducted for the benefit of Brahmins, so we should reject it. Second thing is, he was also against the blind practices which were there in Islam too. Okay, blind practices which are there in Islam too, he was against them. So this way, he criticized both Hinduism and Islam for some blind faiths and practices which are present in them. Okay, this is one important idea. He was critical of both Hinduism and Islam for their ritualistic practices. Okay, and most of his writings, they were written in the form of short poems called dohas, which are easily understandable by the common public. And these dohas, they had a very satirical outlook on society. Okay, very satirical outlook on society. He used to criticize Brahmins, Muslims. Okay, every section, ulema particularly. Ulema was also a butt of criticism for Kabir. Okay, he used to criticize the ulemas and Brahmins, both. Okay. Then apart from that, okay, when it comes to Kabir's contribution, Kabir was, okay, he had this anti-state ideology. He was against excessive taxation by the government. I have given it there, anti-state in his ideology. Anti-state was against the government's excessive taxation. And he wrote many dohas criticizing the government for its taxation. So he was also fighting for the political rights of people too. He was fighting for the political rights of people by criticizing the taxation system of government. And he was proposing a new ideology called anti-state ideology. Anti-state ideology. And Kabir also emphasized on virtue and conduct. Okay, a person is considered spiritual only if he is ethical. So virtue and conduct he gave utmost emphasis to. He was against all forms of hypocrisy. Okay, all forms of hypocrisy he was against, just like the bhakti I talked about. He was against all forms of hypocrisy. And he also talked about women's rights, rights of lower castes and women he discussed about. And he also showed some elements of mysticism. Because he was also in regular touch with the Nathpanthis. So he also showed this aspect of mysticism. And he went beyond, just see the lines which have been given here, go beyond confines of religion and become a spiritual being. Okay, don't follow any religion for that matter. Okay, be spiritual. Being spiritual and being religious are two different things. So this was his idea. And he was a representative of composite culture of medieval India. Because he has taken his inspiration from both Islam and Hinduism. You write it down. took his inspiration from both Islam and Hinduism. Both Islam and Hinduism. And he was also a propounder of equality of mankind. Equality of mankind. His writings are called Bijaks, Dohas, Banis and Sakis. Bijak, Doha, Bani and Saki, all are the names of his poems. And he was a critic of idol worship and empty rituals. And he attempted to reconcile Hinduism and Islam. He tried to promote an idea of syncretism. Okay. And he accepted followers from people of various castes. Ravidas, he was in fact a leather worker. Okay. And Sain, he was a barber. He accepted them as his followers. In fact, Ravidas is a very important figure in North India, particularly among the scheduled castes. Okay, BSP political party, you know, Bahujan Samajwadi Party. Okay, it gives utmost significance to this person called Ravidas, who is a leather worker. A leather worker. Okay, Chamar, okay, Chamar is a very important caste in Uttar Pradesh. Mayavati, she also is a Chamar. Okay, so this is important. Ravidas. Then, okay, some of his sayings are present in Guru Granth Sahib. Guru Granth Sahib, and as I told you earlier, he accepted the middle path of householder and a spiritual man, anti-tax and anti-state ideology, and he protested against social discrimination and economic exploitation. And this is important. He proposed an ideology which talks about passive detachment and identification with all life forms. Passive detachment and identification with all life forms. Saying that, okay, very simple, when a person is living, he should be attached, he should be having identification with all living forms around him. But he should not get engrossed in any human being. And he should always maintain this sense of detachment from worldly things. You should identify with them, but you should have your own unique place for yourself. Okay, this is what is known as passive detachment and identification with all life forms. Identification with all life forms is important, then only a person will become compassionate being. But the compassion should not, okay, become attachment. Are you getting the difference between these two things? Okay, compassion is you have this emotional liking to some things, but you should not get attached to them. You should be detached, and at the same time you should identify with the life. Okay, that is what he says. Okay, you are saying that you might think that these are two opposite values. Yes, okay, but that is what he proposes. Okay, usually spirituality lies between two opposites. Okay. So he says this, and he was also influenced by the preachings of Vaishnavism, Nathpanthis and Sufis. And his followers later they became Kabir Panthis. They are also known as Satnamis. They are also known as Satnamis or Kabir Panthis. Okay, this is Kabir. I think you might be knowing about some duas of Kabir. Kal kare so, aaj kare so ab. That is one. And one more thing is there are many stories associated with Kabir. Okay, at one point of time, he was sleeping on a street. Okay, but he has put his legs to the side of Makkah. Okay, usually in Islam, okay, it is prohibited. Okay, but some ulema comes and he wakes him up. Says that you are keeping your feet towards God. Okay, so you should, being a good Muslim, you should not sleep this way. Then Kabir wakes up and he says to the ulema that the entire world is made by God. Okay, then which way I keep my feet, what difference does it make? Okay, this kind of things he used to say. Okay, and this is Kabir. He is fighting for the political rights of people, social rights of people. Okay, so this is very important. And apart from that, he also tried to promote this idea of syncretic religion, which contains both elements of Hinduism and Islam. Not one. Okay, both the elements he has taken up and he has integrated them into a spiritual community of his own. That is very important with respect to Kabir. No others did this thing, right? Did anyone else did this thing? No, right? He is the first person who tried to integrate Islam with Hinduism. Okay, later day, this same syncretic ideology, it found a better expression during the period of Akbar. Because Akbar himself represented the same kind of syncretic and composite attitude. Okay, Akbar's religious views, I think we have done. Okay, next one is, this is Kabir. And after Kabir, we'll move to the next topic, that is Guru Nanak. Okay, Guru Nanak and Sikhism. And Guru Nanak, he belongs to the time period of 1469 to 1539. This has been asked as a question. He was a contemporary of Babur. He was a contemporary of Babur. Okay, Guru Nanak is also a Bhakti saint. Okay, he was also a Bhakti saint. Same ideology, sir. Exactly the same. The names might differ a little. Okay, the names might differ a little, but exactly the same ideology. That is surrender-based religion. Bhakti you should have towards God. Then you should reject social inequalities. Okay, then you should become anti-ritual. Then you should be against hypocrisy. You should emphasize on conduct, good conduct in life. Okay, you should emphasize on good conduct in life. Guru Nanak also proposed exactly the same things, but okay, he has given different names to different spiritual experiences. Okay, that is what he has done. And first and foremost, if you see, he is a contemporary of Babar, and Guru Nanak was the only successful Bhakti saint who created, okay, a order or continuity of gurus. He created a continuity of gurus who became very popular in Punjab region. Okay, after the death of Guru Nanak, there was a continuity of gurus. There was a continuity of gurus, whereas in other places, usually there is a break, except for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I told you the Goswami link to ISKCON, but in other aspects, there were complete break. But in case of Guru Nanak, after him, nearly to the tune of 9 gurus, they were in continuity. In continuity, 9 gurus were appointed, and they played a very important role in propagating the ideology of Sikhism. Ideology of Sikhism. And for Guru Nanak, Sikhism is just a spiritual community. And this spiritual community, into the spiritual community, people from both Islam and Hinduism, they used to join the spiritual community. Just like any Baba of today, okay, let's suppose Ramdev Baba is there, okay, or let's suppose there is one more, there are many Babas, right? Sadhguru is one more Baba is Ravi Shankar. Know about Art of Living? Okay, that is very popular in Bangalore, right? So ashram they have here. So then there is Pyramid Meditation Foundation. So all of these are different kinds of, okay, Babas, right? And they accept the people from various walks of life. Similarly, Guru Nanak also accepted people from various walks of life. Okay, and there were in total 10 gurus, and he was critical of both Hinduism and Islam. Okay, and he preached equality, social equality, and he also gave this Mool mantra called Ek Onkar. Okay, I think you might have listened to this. Ek Onkar Ek Sapna. Okay, so it's Rang De Basanti movie, it made it more popular. Okay, so Ek Onkar, then Mool Mantra. Then according to him, God is Nirankari, Sarvayapi and Satnam. Nirankari means God is formless. Okay, according to Guru Nanak also God is formless. Sarvayapi means he is present everywhere, omnipresent. Omnipresent, and he is a representation of truth, Satnam. Okay, Satnam, Nirankari and Sarvayapi. He also believed in the concept of monotheism, and he says that Guru is very important because God, he passes his message to the general public through Guru. Okay, this is what he calls as Shabda. Okay, Shabda is the Guru's message, okay, which is inspired by God. Guru is a medium between God and individual. For him, okay, the ultimate aim is a person should attain Sachkhand. Sachkhand is nothing but it is a Sikh Nirvana. Okay, the ideal state where a person, okay, is desireless, he becomes one with God. Okay, this kind of state is called Sachkhand. Okay, and his critique of caste, ritual, idol worship, everything is same. And the main followers of Sikhism, they came from 2 communities. One is the Khatriya community, who are traders. The second one is Jat peasants. Jat and Khatriya, 2 important people. Okay, and he also emphasized on love of God, purity of character. Okay, all of these things are common. And he gave a call for Naam, Dan, Ashnan, Seva, Simran and Kirtana. Okay, if you want to remember, remember. Otherwise, if they ask a question saying that Naam, Dan, Ashnan is an important part of which of the following spiritual community, then you have to write it as Sikhism. Okay, their meaning is not very important. If you want, I can tell. Naam is taking the name of God continuously. Then Dan is every Sikh has to follow charity in life. Okay, then after that there is this aspect of Ashnan. Ashnan means bathing, regular bathing. Seva means you have to take part in philanthropic activities. Simran is also similar to Naam, okay, taking the name of God. And Kirtana is singing the praise of God. Okay, so all of these things he talks about. And for him also, he also talked about the middle path, that is both householder and spiritual being. Okay, so both of these things you have to follow. Spirituality and duty are integrated. And his group of his followers are called as Sangat. A group of his followers are known as Sangat. Okay, it was not called as Sikhism during Guru Nanak's period. It was known as Sangat. And they used to regularly resort to communal eating, which is called Pangat. Pangat is communal eating. Okay, Pangat is communal eating. You know about this concept called Langar, right? okay, where people go and get free food and they eat together. Because in Hinduism, caste has one very strong hold, that is that people of different castes should not sit together and eat. In order to break this ritual, he promoted this idea of communal eating called Pangat. Okay, caste has many strongholds. Okay, one is there should not be intercaste marriage. The second one is there should not be any communal eating. Okay, these are some of the important bases of caste. So he said that no, everyone should communally eat together, which is called Pangat. Okay, and he established a spiritual community too, or spiritual commune in a place called Kartarpur. Okay, I think you might have known that it is very close to Indian border and it is present in Pakistan. Recently, Pakistan has opened a corridor called Kartarpur corridor for Indian Sikhs to go and visit the Kartarpur shrine, because it is the place where he experimented with a spiritual community, spiritual commune he tried to establish here. So this is what is important, Kartarpur. And next, if you see, we'll talk about the next gurus. Okay, of the 10 gurus, there is possibility of a question on few gurus. Okay, we'll see which gurus are important, what is their contribution, what happened to them, we'll see. Okay, one is Guru Nanak, that is contemporary of Babar, that is fine. Second one is Guru Angad. He immediately was a follower of Guru Nanak, and what he did is he standardized a new script called Gurumukhi script. New script. Okay, this is not language. Gurumukhi is a script. It is a writing style. Writing style. And Gurumukhi, it had some elements of Urdu, some elements of Sanskrit. All these things are put together, and this script was developed, which is called as Gurumukhi script. Okay, the next one is Guru Amardas. Guru Amardas, in order to properly implement the Pangat concept, he started this langar system. Pangat means communal eating. In order to do that, he started this communal kitchen. Communal kitchen. Okay, all people should eat together. Then someone has to provide the food, right? So langar is the communal kitchen. If you go to Amritsar, okay, there you find this langar, right? Okay, in the temple you will get free food always. Okay, that is what is known as the langar system. And the next one is Guru Ramdas. Okay, Guru Ramdas is the next important one, and he is the one who established this sacred tank called Amritsar. Amritsar means the sacred tank. It's not given there, you write it down. Okay, Guru Ramdas is the one, Ramdas is the one who established a sacred tank called Guru Amardas, called Amritsar. So sorry. Then next one is Guru Arjun, or Guru Arjan, it is called Guru Arjan or Guru Arjun, and he is the one who constructed the temple called Harminder Sahib. In Amritsar we have the temple, right? This is called Harminder Sahib. It has been constructed by this same person, Guru Arjan, and he started the practice of writing down the sayings of the earlier Sikh gurus, which is called as Adi Granth Sahib. He was the one who first composed. It is given as Guru Granth Sahib. You cross it. You cross it. It is called as Adi Granth Sahib during his period. Adi Granth Sahib, and this Guru Arjan, he was executed by Jahangir. I think in the British Sikh conflict also I have given some of these names. Okay, he was executed by Jahangir. And the next one is Guru Hargobind. Guru Hargobind. And what he did is, till then, okay, all the gurus, they were exclusively concerned with spirituality. Spirituality. Guru Hargobind is the first one, because his father, that is Guru Arjan, was killed by Jahangir. What he did is he started saying that gurus also should become, apart from the spiritual authority, they should take over temporal authority too. Temporal means worldly. Spiritual means sacred authority. And he is the one who first talked about integration of Miri and Piri. Piri means spiritual aspect, Miri means temporal aspect. Okay, and he said that Shakti and Bhakti should go together. Shakti and Bhakti should go together. And he established the first political institution of the Sikhs, which is known as Akal Takht. Akal Takht is a political institution of Sikhs. So Miri Piri should go together, and Akal Takht has been established by this person. The next one is Guru Tegh Bahadur. Guru Tegh Bahadur, and he was executed by Aurangzeb. Guru Tegh Bahadur, the 9th Guru, is executed by Aurangzeb, and his follower was, next one is Guru Gobind Singh. Very, very important. And the last Guru of Sikhs is Guru Gobind Singh. And because of this continuous conflict with Mughals, what he did is finally he established a military brotherhood among Sikhs, which is known as Khalsa. Khalsa is the military brotherhood among Sikhs was established by him, which is known as Khalsa. Khalsa Panth it is called. Khalsa Panth it is called. And he made the conflict with the Mughals more overt. Till then the conflict was covert. Okay, some Sikh gurus were killed. Okay, and the Sikh gurus also tried to interfere in the Mughal political affairs. In Punjab, they started creating troubles for collection of taxes. So these kind of things they were also doing, but the conflict was covert. But during his period, the conflict became overt. And this overt conflict is best represented by this letter which has written to Aurangzeb, which is called as Zafarnama. Very important. Zafarnama is a letter written by Guru Gobind Singh to Aurangzeb, and it enumerated the atrocities of Aurangzeb. It enumerated the atrocities of Aurangzeb. Zafarnama, very important. It is written in Persian. It is written in Persian. This is a letter written by Guru Gobind Singh to Aurangzeb, saying that you have committed so many wrongs, so we are going to revolt against you. There is a warning. And Guru Gobind Singh, what he did is he picked up on the earlier Adi Granth Sahib, and he gave the final shape to Adi Granth Sahib, and it became Guru Granth Sahib now. So the final shape to Adi Granth Sahib was given by Guru Gobind Singh. And the brilliance of Adi Granth Sahib is that it is not a book which contained only the sayings of these gurus. It also took the sayings of many popular Bhakti and Sufi saints. Okay, many popular Bhakti and Sufi saints. I have given the example of Kabir. Kabir's sayings are part of Guru Granth Sahib. Okay, the things which are good in Kabir, they have taken it. They have also taken this message of a Sufi saint by the name of, what is his name? Baba Ajodan. Okay, Baba Ajodan is the person whose spiritual message was also taken by the Adi Granth Sahib. Okay, you can write these examples. Kabir, Baba Ajodan. The sayings were included as part of Adi Granth Sahib. Adi Granth Sahib. And Guru Gobind Singh, he gave the final shape to it, which is called as Guru Granth Sahib. And he also wrote one more text called Dasam Granth. Dasam Granth, the final text which was written by him, Guru Gobind Singh. Okay, and in fact, what he did is he has given this a 5 case, for the people who follow the Khalsa Panth. He said that every Sikh has to have this 5 case. One is Kesha, long hair. Second one is Kara. Kara means kumb. Okay, the third one is Kanga. Kanga means the iron bangle that they wear. And fourth one is Kachera. Kachera means undergarments. And Kirpan. Kirpan means the sword. Okay, small sword that every Sikh carries. Okay, so these things are the religious markers for Sikhs. So he wanted to convert the fight into a more overt fight so that the Sikhs can be easily identified by others. Are you getting this? So this is how he started this military brotherhood concept, which is also known as Sant Sipahi tradition. Sant Sipahi tradition. So this is the political impact of Bhakti movement is this. Political impact, yes or no? The later day led to the emergence of a separate Sikh state under Ranjit Singh. All of these are linked. This is the political impact of Bhakti movement. Okay, movement which started as a religious movement, it had a political significance. Similarly, one more movement of Bhakti, it also had a political impact. That is the Maharashtra Dharma movement. It led to the emergence of Shivaji. You're getting this? Okay, so that is also one more political impact that was seen. And these are the two important ones. I think that's it. Okay. In fact, Harminder Sahib is Golden Temple. Guru Arjan's period only. Guru Harminder Sahib is the other name of Golden Temple. You write it down. Harminder Sahib's other name is Golden Temple. Golden Temple, and it is from the period of Guru Gobind Singh itself. Sikhism became a separate religion in itself. Okay, before that, it was not a separate religion. From the time of this person, it became a separate religion. Sangat Pangat se shuru hua. Okay, finally, it led to the emergence of military brotherhood called Khalsa. In fact, it had a deep-seated impact on the Punjabi society. Okay, Punjabi society, it had a deep-seated impact. We'll talk about them later. Okay. Post-independent India, I think I talked about these things once before. Okay. Anand Sahib resolution and stuff. But people who have attended, they might be knowing. Okay. Earlier class. Later I'll talk about them anyhow. And Guru Gobind Singh also passed a resolution called Anandpur Sahib resolution. Anandpur Sahib resolution. Very important. Passed this resolution called Anandpur Sahib resolution against Mughals. Okay. Later, this became an inspiration for Khalistanis to fight against Indian government. Who? No. Guru Gobind Singh was not executed by Aurangzeb. Okay. Where? No. In fact, his sons were killed by Aurangzeb. Yes. After that? No. Guru Gobind Singh, he died of natural causes. You talk about Banda Bahadur. Okay, that is the follower, the next head of this Khalsa Panth was Banda Bahadur. If you want to, you can write it down, his name down. But Banda Bahadur, he was executed by Bahadur Shah. Okay, you write it down. Bahadur Shah 1. Okay, Banda Bahadur, he was executed by, the head of Khalsa Panth was Banda Bahadur and he was executed by Bahadur Shah 1. But Guru Gobind Singh was not killed. His sons were killed. Okay, both of his sons who were supposed to become the next gurus, they were made to sit in boiling water and they were killed. Okay, they used to have extreme forms of punishment like peeling of the skin. Okay, these kind of things they used to do. So, but that is not very much required for us. Okay, Veer Bal Divas. Okay, his sons were executed. Yes. Yeah, I don't know about this. I didn't check the newspapers in the last 15-20 days because of this thing. Okay, but Veer Bal Divas. Okay, it was for the sons of Guru Gobind Singh, right? But Guru Gobind Singh, he was never killed by Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb. Not true. I'll check. Okay, but anyhow, benefit of doubt I'm giving you because you might have read it very recently. But according to me, he was not killed by any of the military generals. He did not die in any military conflict. Okay. Which one? Niang. I think the Niang are the ones I talked about earlier. That is, okay, having this Naam, Snan, Asnan, okay, Shabd. So those things are called as Niang. Okay, they are little different from Khalsa. Khalsa is different. Khalsa is a military brotherhood. There also they wear blue attire, correct. Okay, might have seen this. Recently also there was a fight in where, okay, I think this Anandpur Sahib only. Okay, one kid, he tried to desecrate the Guru Granth Sahib and he was killed by the Khalsa. He was killed by the Khalsa, and should we prosecute him under the law? Okay, the people who killed him, should we consider it as a murder or not? Okay, but the child was mentally unstable. He went running to the Guru Granth Sahib and he was killed. It was in news. Yes. Okay, so let's see what will happen. The next one is Narsi Mehta. Okay, killing of a person should not be considered as manslaughter, any which way it is done. That is my opinion. Next one is Narsi Mehta, belong to Gujarat. From here, there is nothing much of an explanation. It is the same thing, just some unique aspects of each thinker I'll tell. Okay, it is Narsi Mehta next. He is a Gujarati and he is an inspiration for Gandhi. Okay, Gandhi's Vaishnavism, it is inspired from Narsi Mehta because his mother is a follower of the same person. Okay, and he is the person who formulated this poem called Vaishnav Janto. Okay, it is a very famous poem which is a favorite of Gandhiji. Vaishnav Janto, it was composed by Narsi Mehta. Okay, Vaishnav Janto tere naam, might have sabko sammat de Bhagwan, no? Okay, so that was written by the same person, Narsi Mehta, and his writings are called Padas, Akhyayans and Prabhatiyas. Okay, his writings are called Padas, Akhyayan and Prabhatiyas, and he is known as Adi Kavi in Gujarat. And he is the first person to use the word Harijan. Okay, Narsi Mehta is the first person to use the term Harijan. And next one is Surdas. Surdas is a 16th century poet. In fact, if you remember, Surdas was a follower of Vallabhacharya. He was a follower of Vallabhacharya. He is a blind poet and he is a follower of Lord Krishna. And he believed in Saguna Krishna. He is a disciple of Vallabhacharya and he wrote numerous poems like Sursagar, Sursalavali and Sahitya Lahari. Sursaravali, Sursagar and Sahitya Lahari. And in fact, Surdas is a contemporary of Akbar. Surdas is a contemporary of Akbar. And Akbar, okay, he visited Surdas once. Akbar visited Surdas once. This is important. This is Surdas. And the next one is Dadu Dayal. Okay, Dadu Dayal, he is also a Gujarati. And he started a separate Panthi called Dadu Panthi. And his book is called Anubhavavani. And he used Braj Bhasha as his language. Okay, Braj Bhasha as his language. And the mutts of Dadu Dayal are known as Thambas. Thambas are the mutts of Dadu Dayal. The next one is Mirabai. She belonged to 16th century. She belonged to the region of Mewar in Rajasthan. Mewar in Rajasthan. In fact, she was married to the Rana of Mewar. Okay, she was married to the Prince of Mewar. She was supposed to become the next queen. Okay, but what she did is, okay, because of her longing towards Lord Krishna, she left her husband and she became a Bairagi. Okay, Bairagini she became, or Bairagini she became. So that is the reason why she is criticized by the patriarchy of the society at that point of time. She was not accepted as an ideal woman. She was not accepted as an ideal woman because she has left her husband. Okay, that is the reason why even among Rajputs today, Mirabai, her imagery and her poems, they were not supported by the Rajputs because she is considered as a socially deviant person who left her husband, okay, and wandered on the streets. And what she did is, after leaving her husband, she went and became a disciple of Ravidas. Remember the Ravidas, Chamar? So who is a lower caste person. So she questioned caste and gender or patriarchy at the same time. So she was not accepted as a spiritual being by most of the upper castes in India. But she is very popular and she wrote in Rajasthani language and her writings are known as bhajans. Her writings are known as bhajans. And her husband's name is Bojraj. Okay, Bojraj is her husband's name. And in fact, there were many attempts to kill her too. Okay, they tried to poison her food. Okay, they tried to attack her. These kind of things were there. But she says that miraculously Lord Krishna has saved her. Okay, in her poems, she talks about these things. Okay, but what miracle happened, what exactly happened at the point of time, we don't know. But in her poems, she writes this. Okay, and she also shows the same kind of ecstatic love towards Lord Krishna. And she says that Lord Krishna is my real husband. It is not Bojraj. Okay, these kind of statements she has made. And naturally, he felt very angry. So he tried to poison her. So this is the story of Mirabai. Okay, they can ask a separate question on women Bhakti saints in itself. Okay, in itself, they can ask an independent question on women Bhakti saints. I'll talk about it. Okay, I'll talk about it. So this is Mirabai. And the next one is Tulsidas. Tulsidas, last person of importance. He is also a contemporary of Akbar, 1532 to 1623. He is a contemporary of Akbar. When Akbar was at the peak of his power, even Tulsidas was very popular in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. They both are contemporaries. Tulsidas. And the language that he used is the local language which is called as Avadi. Avadi, and Tulsidas is a Rama Bhakta. Okay, what he used to do is he used to carry a Ramayan on his back, okay, and he used to go from village to village and preach the story of Ramayan to people. That was his standard practice. And what he did is, okay, in fact, he was part of this Ramanand Sampradaya, the same Ramanand Sampradaya earlier. Okay, he was a Bairagi. He's a Ram Bhakta and he wrote Ramcharitamanas, okay, very, very popular book, Ramcharitamanas, and Vinay Pitika and Hanuman Chalisa. Okay, Hanuman Chalisa, Vinay Pitika and Ramcharitamanas, all three books are written by this person. Okay, and he popularized the image of Rama among the public of Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. And he also formulated a new form of drama called Ram Leela. Okay, even now it is conducted, right? Every Deepavali, usually they conduct this Ram Leela plays in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Yes, okay, where a huge bust of Ravana's image is made with crackers and it is burnt at the end of the Ram Leela plays. So Ram Leela plays are in fact popularized by this person Tulsidas. And in Ram Leela plays, usually Ramcharitamanas, the story which has been written in Ramcharitamanas, it is enacted typically. Okay, it is enacted typically and it is called as Ram Leela. And his idea of God is Sagun. Okay, his idea of God is Sagun, and he equated Rama with Brahma of Upanishad. Same thing. Okay, and his ideology is called Lok Mangal ideology, which is called, gives a call for social upliftment of all, and it was against caste distinctions. It was against caste distinctions. Okay, and by translating Ramayana into Avadi, he made Ramayana more accessible to the people. Made Ramayana more accessible to the people. Okay, and he is a very popular saint of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar region. Okay, and his preachings are also based on morality. Same thing, sir. Exactly the same thing. Okay, whatever I talked about, the ideology of bhakti or nature of bhakti, you can replicate it with any of the philosophers. Okay, same thing. So, Tulsidas. The question has been asked on Tulsidas recently. Okay, he was who's Bhakta? Rama Bhakta, Krishna Bhakta, this kind of question was asked. Okay, next one is Maharashtra Dharma, the last one. When it comes to Maharashtra Dharma, it is a Bhakti movement in Maharashtra. It is a Bhakti movement in Maharashtra, and the chief proponents of this Bhakti movement are, first one is Jnaneshwar, then Eknath, Tukaram, okay, along with Namdev. Jnaneshwar, Namdev, Eknath, and Tukaram. They are all four very, very important saints. And their Bhakti movement, it revolved around the deity called Vithoba of Pandarpur. Okay, Vithoba, Pandarpur. Okay, you know Pandarpur, right? Okay, Vithoba of Pandarpur is the chief deity for this Maharashtra Dharma movement. Okay, so you call it by a different name, Pandrapur. Okay, so Pandrapur. So I think in Maharashtra it is called as Pandarpur, right? No? Same. Okay, so whatever it might be, Vithoba is the chief deity, and Vithoba is a form of Vishnu. Okay, Vithoba is a form of Vishnu. Okay, Vithoba is a form of Vishnu. And in fact, they started a Panthi called Varkari Panth. Okay, Varkari Panth is started by them. I think you know about this Varkari Panth. Okay, every year, okay, some people from villages, they start walking towards Pandharpur. Okay, they start walking towards Pandharpur without wearing any slippers. So this is what is known as Varkari Panth, and it was started by these people. And the most important book that has been composed here is Jnaneshwar. He wrote a book called Bhavarata Deepika. Bhavarata Deepika is the book which was written by Jnaneshwar. It is also known as Jnaneshwari. It is also known as Jnaneshwari, and it is a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. It is a commentary on Bhagavad Gita, and he also wrote one more book called Amrutanubhava. Amrutanubhava is one more book that was written by him. Okay, and here the ideology is same. Okay, bhakti, equality, okay, absence of caste distinction, gender equality, all of these things these people also supported, and they also talked about a spiritual seeker can also be a family man. Okay, you need not renounce your family in order to become a spiritual seeker. Same ideology. And Namdev, he wrote many bhajans in Marathi. Then Eknath, he wrote abhangs. Okay, this can be asked as question. In Namdev bhajans, whereas Eknath, he wrote, his writings are called as abhangs. Abhangs are short poems. Abhangs are short poems on Vithoba. Anti-caste, anti-ritual, anti-gender discrimination, and against Brahmanism. And it gives utmost emphasis to simplicity and serenity of soul. It is against materialism. You write this term down. It is against materialism or material possessions. Finally, this Maharashtra Dharma movement, okay, the important proponent of this Maharashtra Dharma movement is Samarth Ramdas. Samarth Ramdas, who is also a guru of Shivaji. Okay, he is also part of this Maharashtra Dharma movement, and he wrote a book called Dashabodha. Dashabodha. This Dashabodha, it discusses about Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta. Okay, and Maharashtra Dharma movement, it had an aspect of cultural protection too. You write this statement down. Protection of cultural or religious protection also is one idea of Maharashtra Dharma movement. That is what Shivaji represented. Okay, that is what Shivaji represented, cultural protection. Okay, because Islam was becoming very influential in Deccan region. So in order to protect Hinduism and its culture, this movement has started, and this cultural protection aspect is shown by Shivaji too. Okay. Aspect is shown by Shivaji too. this finishes the discussion on most of the Bhakti saints. Now we have to discuss just two topics. One is the nature of Bhakti movement. Islam is there and Sufi movement is also there. Is a handout covers Sufi movement too? Okay. So I have to discuss Islam, Sufi movement, and after that I'll discuss about the limitations of Bhakti movement. That is the last topic, right? Sufi is the last topic. Okay. So just I'll give a brief on the nature of North Indian Bhakti. Nature of North Indian Bhakti. Okay. Across North India, okay, Bhakti had some common features. Some common features. These are, okay, there is the idea of Bhakti is common for all. There are regional manifestations of Bhakti. Saguna and Nirguna both are accepted. There is both Vaishnavism and Shaivism. Okay, Vaishnavism and Shaivism. You write the example in Shaivism. You write the name of Lal Det. Okay, I forgot to tell about her. At the end you write. Okay, Lal or Lal Det. Okay, she is very popular Bhakti saint of Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, she was a Shaivite woman Bhakti saint of Jammu and Kashmir. This is Lal or Lal Det. Okay. Lal Det she is called. Very, very popular. Okay, because she became an inspiration for Sufi movement in Jammu and Kashmir. I'll talk about this later. Sufi movement in Jammu and Kashmir. And she is part of this tradition called Rishi tradition in Jammu and Kashmir. Kashmir has always been a place for rishis. Okay, because of the beautiful weather that is there, most of the rishis, they used to migrate to Jammu and Kashmir. So it is she is part of this Rishi tradition. Okay. And there are numerous women saints who are present. Then Bhakti movement in North India is non-philosophical, unlike South India. This is one important difference. You write this down. Bhakti movement in North India is non-philosophical, unlike South Indian Bhakti. Unlike South Indian Bhakti. Like South Indian Bhakti. Okay, this is the only important difference. And rest of the things I think you can easily understand. They promoted literary activities. They promoted devotional music. And apart from devotional music, okay, the movement is non-sectarian. Movement is non-sectarian, and they wanted to synthesize worldly and spiritual domains. Okay, all of these things are common. They created a liberal socio-religious milieu, and okay, these are the common elements. The last point I'll discuss in limitations. Okay, this is the nature of North Indian Bhakti. Okay, I think the difference is only one thing, that it is non-philosophical, whereas South Indian Bhakti is philosophical. Okay, that is the only difference. If you want to, you can write them down. Okay. The next topic is Islam. We'll discuss briefly about Islam and then we'll move to the Sufi tradition in India. Sufi tradition in India, because once they asked a question on some aspects of Islam too. Okay, they asked a question on, I think Zakat, they asked a question on. Okay, once. And your themes in Indian history textbook also contains a separate section in chapter 2. Okay, in the second textbook, that is themes in Indian history part 2, there is a section on Sufi and Islam. So they can ask a prelims or mains question on the same section. So I'll discuss some key aspects of Islam first, and after that I'll talk about Sufism. And before discussing that, we'll take a break. Okay, it's almost